I think we all do it and we all get into trouble for it. How to stop comparing yourself to others. I've got 4 clear steps for you. The first disclaimer I have for this particular video is that I don't think you can stop comparing yourself. Notice that you're doing it though. This gives you some power. When we realize that we're doing it, it puts us in a higher level of choice and control over that process. So notice that you're comparing. We do this all the time. I call this process evaluation. And psychologically, we can't turn it off. We are constantly evaluating or judging everything in our life. We judge ourselves. We judge our relationships. We judge our finances. We judge our boss. We judge our work, our circumstances, everything. Constantly judging. It's okay. We're humans. That's how we operate. Just notice that you're doing it. This judgment or evaluation implies comparison. You have to. That's the only way you can evaluate or judge something. So just notice that you're doing it. That's the first step. Now that you know that you're doing these comparisons, it's part of a natural psychological process that you can't turn off. Notice the direction of those comparisons. So check it out. There could always be something better than what you've already got. There can always be something worse. So if you think of that as 2 different directions, there's always something better, there's always something worse. How am I doing? Well, it depends on who or what I compare myself to. What if I compare myself to someone who's doing better than I am? How am I going to feel? Well, it depends probably, but most of the time we feel inadequate, like we're not good enough. Because compared to this better standard, we're not doing very well. Do you see that? And what if you compare yourself to something worse than how you're doing? How am I doing? Well, compared to something worse, I'm doing pretty well. I've shared before on other videos an experience I had with Gabe Adams. You can look him up here on YouTube. Gabe is an amazing young man who has no arms and no legs. And it's interesting that I've had an experience just this past summer with surgery on both of my Achilles tendons. And there were times when I was thinking, oh, my foot hurts. Where Gabe might be thinking, what? You have a foot? Right? Just notice it. You're always making a comparison. And which direction that comparison is made changes how you feel. I've also noticed that a lot of times when we compare ourselves to others, we're not very fair about it. We compare our weaknesses to their strengths. Well, that's not a fair comparison, is it? And no wonder we end up feeling inadequate or beat up or depressed. When we make that kind of a comparison, that's how we're going to feel. And I have to say also, you're never wrong about how you feel. How you feel is 100% consistent with the way your own mind is doing this process that we're talking about right now. Evaluation, comparison. I don't think you can turn it off. Just notice that you're doing it and notice which direction you're making that comparison. Now that I've got you thinking about your thinking, noticing that you're comparing, noticing what direction that comparison is, here's the next part. Step 3 is to realize that it's a choice. Until you see it as a choice, it's not. You're going to roll with whatever you're programmed to think or do. Programming is very fundamental to our functioning, and it has to be. You don't have to think about how to walk, for example, assuming that you're a walking person. I have a lot of friends who are not, but let's use that as an example. If you walk, you usually don't have to think about, oh, how am I going to walk? How am I going to move my legs? No, it's all programmed in. It's not that easy. In fact, walking is a very complex task. And it involves all kinds of coordination and muscle movements and shifting of your weight and balancing. It's very complicated. You watch a little toddler trying to walk? Yeah, not so easy. Easy for you, perhaps, because you have practiced and you've programmed your body to do this. Neural pathways are created. These are like shortcuts, cruise control, autopilot. And those things kick in naturally. So when we have these neural pathways, we default to those. That's our programming. It doesn't feel like a choice when we resort to our programming. It just comes very naturally to us. When we try to do something different, so if you've been comparing yourself, for example, unfairly to people who are doing better than you, or at least you think they are, and that's your default, it will feel unnatural to you to think, you know what? I'm actually doing pretty well, which you are compared to people who are doing worse, right? And it won't feel natural to you because that's not your programming. Until you see it as a choice, it's not. And you will default toward your programming. So just notice that and see it as a choice. That's step number 3. If it's a choice, and it is, why not choose something that serves you well? That's step 4. I know, seems obvious, right? But my job is to illuminate the obvious. Notice that you have the choice, and then choose well. Something that supports you and your joy and your happiness and your good relationships. Choose that. Since you can, why not? If this was helpful for you, you might want to watch next How to Appreciate Others' Talents Without Comparison. I think you'll enjoy that. You can link to it right up there. And if you haven't got my free book yet, go get it. I'm giving it away to everyone who wants it for free. You just cover the shipping. Click on the link down below, drpauljenkins.com.
Her head was down, face locked onto the phone.